Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Mel White from Classic Exhibits. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Jessica Sibila, who's the owner of Jessica Sibila Consulting and the executive director of the Exhibitor Advocate. If you are unfamiliar with the Exhibitor Advocate, that's understandable. It's brand new. However, the professionals spearheading the association have been championing the rights of exhibitors for many years. For anyone who's worked in the exhibit industry or participated in trade shows, you know it can be complicated, confusing, and often opaque, especially to exhibitors. They don't always know their rights or how to dispute charges or even propose changes to a show. Collectively, they have the largest financial commitment to the success of a trade show, but often the least amount of influence on how it's priced, managed, and marketed. Jessica and her colleagues are on a mission to change that. Thank you for being here today, Jessica.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with the easy one. What is the Exhibitor Advocate?
Yeah, Mel, like you mentioned, it is a newly formed nonprofit association that is dedicated to amplifying the voice of exhibitors. I think for too long, we've seen that the attendee has been viewed as the main stakeholder within our industry ecosystem. And we really felt like it was time for the exhibitor's voice to be heard on a platform that was bigger than what we've had in the past. So we have formed this nonprofit association to both help exhibitors understand their rights and responsibilities, help them address pain points, and then also help the industry understand what is important to exhibitors and how we address their needs successfully so that we can see a sustainable industry for the future.
All right, so what issues or challenges are the most concerning for exhibitors today?
Yeah, for exhibitors, the number one issue today is rising costs. We're seeing a lot of that in drayage, and I know it's a hot topic that, some folks don't want us to address, and I understand that, but we do have to talk about it. It's important because it is the number one driver for how exhibitors experience the trade show and face-to-face events and exhibitions. So we really need to address those rising costs. We need to find a model or a pricing structure that works for all stakeholders. We want everybody in the industry to be successful so that we can all keep working, right? But we need to address those rising costs, and we need to be able to sit down with the stakeholders of the industry and have those tough conversations to be able to address how we look at those costs, where we can support exhibitors with those rising costs, and give them more access to an exhibit program that's successful for them. Beyond costs, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, beyond cost, because I know we always go there first because it is the number one issue.
Yeah.
But what I want the group to understand here is that it's not just about rising costs, right? We also have concerns about data access and making sure that exhibitors have equitable access to contact information and data for the attendees that are going to these shows. We want to be able to accurately and effectively measure our ROI on these events. And being able to have access to the data allows us to better do that. So there's a lot more issues than just cost that we want to educate the industry on how to best address those challenges so that we can all be successful.
So how does the Exhibitor Advocate support exhibitors in addressing those challenges?
Yeah, so a couple of things. We will be putting out content, custom data and research that will help stakeholders within the industry understand what the exhibitor needs and how to address those. We will be promoting best practices within the industry so that the stakeholders can understand how we view best practices in the industry. And then we'll be supporting exhibitors with expert advice and these resources and tools that will help them better manage their budgets for their trade shows. And we will be taking on cases. So for exhibitors that have challenges in the industries, pain points that they want to address, we will help those exhibitors address those issues with the right person in the right way so that they can find success at the show.
What types of changes would you like to see in the industry that would make exhibitors more successful?
The number one thing that we advocate for is for every show to have an exhibitor advisory council. And it should not be a ceremonial type of council. It should be a working council that is supportive of all types of exhibitors at a show. And it should be a council that has a voice in shaping the show, and is seen as a critical part of the success of that show. If you don't have an exhibitor advisory council for your show, that is the number one thing that will affect change within your industry segment and within your show specifically. But we're also advocating for things like consistent standards. It shouldn't be a surprise when you get your exhibiting kit about what the standards are for that show. We also advocate for predictable costs. We want to understand and have justification for the costs that are associated with the show. And we want to be able to predict those costs so that we can better manage our budgets for the future. And we also want to see simpler rules. Sometimes I think, especially for more junior exhibit managers, it's very confusing to understand why I can and can't do this, and what's right and wrong, and what am I going to get charged for, and what am I not. If the rules were simpler to understand and the exhibit kits were put out sooner with very clear rules for folks, I think we would have a much better experience from an exhibitor standpoint.
So Jessica, talk about show organizers and associations that you feel are doing it right.
Yeah. One of our members worked with NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters, and they did an incredible job addressing drayage challenges at their show. Our member worked with them to really dig into the challenges that the exhibitors were having, not only on cost, but on a number of different levels. The member had full access to NAB's general service contractor and the details about how they were managing material handling for the show. And they were able to work with the general service contractor, the association, and the exhibitor to find a pricing model that was much more simplified than what they had before, and was effective for all parties to be successful. So the exhibitor goes in understanding exactly how much drayage they're going to be charged, and the general service contractor is happy with the amount of revenue that they're making off that show. So we really think that NAB is one of those shows that is kind of the highlight of how this could work when done well. And we'd like to find more shows that are doing it right for exhibitors. So we'll be on the lookout for those shows, and we'll be sharing information and posting about those shows in the future so that exhibitors understand what best practices are and where we're doing it well as an industry.
What support do you need, Jessica, not only from exhibitors, but from the exhibit industry in general?
Yeah, we need two things right now. As you said, we are a newly formed organization. So the number one thing that we need right now is for people to join our cause. Share our work, push it out on your social media networks, share it with your clients, help exhibitors understand that there is now an outlet for them to share their challenges and their pain points. We have a website, exhibitoradvocacy.com. So we recommend everyone goes to that website. You can click on the button that says join our cause and provide your information so that you can stay up to date on all of the work that we're doing. You can get involved in our committees and help us launch this association and really get it off the ground. And then the other thing that we need is sponsorships and donors. So for those folks in the industry that support our work, that want to see the exhibitor voice be heard, we do need sponsorships and donations right now. So there is also a donation button on that same exhibitoradvocacy.com website. And you can donate to GoFundMe to get our organization some operating expenses that will help us market ourselves, help us share the word with our potential membership, and be able to manage the operating costs that come with managing an association.
Well, thank you, Jessica. What you're doing is just amazing. Every single group within the exhibit industry has their own advocacy group. with the exception of an exhibitor. So what you're
That's right.
doing is just so special and so important, especially as we come out of the pandemic and the exhibitors really need to assert their rights and have more predictability and really have a bigger piece of the ability to make change happen within the existing industry itself. All right.
That's right.
So again, Jessica, how can they reach you and how can they contact the group, the Exhibitor Advocate Group?
Yes, exhibitoradvocacy.com. And then you can also follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter at The Exhibitor Advocate.
All right. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you so much, Mel.